Skeletal and motionless lay a corpse in Milan. He is a saint, a composer, a manipulator, and a legend. He lived paranoid, attempting to repair a broken world, and he is remembered as the model of Catholicism. More than a millennium after his passing, the sons and daughters of Milan are preparing to repeat the mistakes of St. Ambrose. The Ambrosian Republic, in Italian Aurea Repubblica Ambrosia, was a short-lived directorial republic located in the Duchy of Milan. Lasting only 3 years, the republic was swept under the rug by the ascendant Sforza as simply another part of the Milanese succession crisis in the 15th century. However, the republic serves as a great parallel with Italian city-state politics, while also showing the culmination of political humanism. Over the course of this time, I'll be covering an interpretation of the events surrounding the lead-up and period of the Ambrosian Republic. To understand the events which culminated in the Ambrosian Republic, the scope of political and social organization in early Renaissance Italy must be explained. The first concept to grasp is the overall disunity of Italy, for there was no Italy. As Metternich famously stated, Italy is only a geographic expression. For early Renaissance Italy, this could not be more true. Politically, the region was heavily divided between local powerhouses and foreign interests. While many smaller city-states were present, the majority of them did not attempt to make grabs at power, usually aligning with one of the larger regional powers. In northern Italy, there were the duchies of Savoy and Milan, with their dependents making up the mountainous northwest. The two duchies had tense relations, with conflicting border claims and ambition building throughout the 14th and 15th centuries. Milan was the focal point of this period, with the 15th century seeing their height of territory and military strength. However, by the time of the 1440s, many of the gains of the previous dukes had been lost, and Milan was simply one of the many regional powers. Making up the remainder of northern Italy were the republics of Venice and Genoa. First, it's important to clarify that Italian republics were not the representative democratic organizations that we associate the word republic with today. These were merchant or marine republics. Merchant republics were composed of elitist, oligarchical families competing for influence over government offices and affairs. In a similar way to the right of conquest in the earlier medieval period, political power in merchant republics was taken by whichever family or company was able to amass enough wealth and alliances to outmaneuver competitors. Adding on to this internal competition was an external competition between Venice and Genoa for Mediterranean trade dominance. In the early 15th century, this competition was still in full swing, with the far-off possessions of Genoa in the Black and Aegean Seas competing with existing Venetian control of the Adriatic and Aegean Seas. This trade war mostly centered on who would be able to control the flow of Eastern goods into Europe. This did not just include the usual spices and silk, but the agricultural products of Egypt and slaves of Eastern Europe. Genoa was able to control the Black Sea flow of slaves into the Mediterranean, while their cooperation with the ascending Ottoman state allowed for some Mediterranean leeway on trade. This is in contrast to Venetian merchants, who many times used the naval power of the state to wrest control of Aegean territories from the failing Eastern Roman Empire. In this, they placed their lot with the Egyptian Mamluks, in the powerful jewel of the Mediterranean city of Alexandria. By the time of the 1440s, the Venetians seemed to have a leg up on the Genoese, and their dominance over Mediterranean trade could only be contested by much larger states. In comparison to the north, the central portion of Italy was much more docile in their competition. The notable powers were the Republic of Florence and the Papal States. The Medici family of Florence under Cosimo de' Medici had begun to be the banking capital of Europe, holding assets from Iberia to Scandinavia. This had allowed the state to become a politically ascendant nation in the Italian region, with their wealth and influence fostering the Renaissance. Their western neighbors were the Papal States, or the personal and de jure holdings of the controller of the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope. The relations between Florence and the Pope were competitive to say the least. While military escalation was much less common than in the north, political maneuvering was the norm. The competing assets of Medici banking and papal bishops would eventually result in four Medicis ascending to the throne of St. Peter. But at the time of the 1440s, the two states were still in rivalry. The last notable state is neither Italian nor a regional power. By 1443, the Iberian kingdom of Aragon had pressed their claim to the kingdom of Naples, and consolidated control over Sardinia and Sicily, basically composing the whole of southern Italy. Aragon was one of the aforementioned states which could challenge Venetian dominance over the Mediterranean. They possessed extreme control over the western Mediterranean, with land possessions and naval supremacy. However, greater competition on the European scale, disloyal nobility in Naples, and the influence of the Pope in Iberia prevented Alfonso V of Aragon from pursuing any further conquest of Italian land. On top of the division of territorial entities were numerous social and local divisions. For one, there was the recent explosion of trade and production in the entire region of Italy and, to a lesser extent, Europe in general. Increasing trade and wealth created three main classes of power holders: magnati, otherwise known as landed nobles, arti magnori, merchants, industrialists, as well as elected officials, followed by the arti minori, artisans of the booming Italian textile industry. This social division was backed by the varied economic power of each class, developing and changing throughout the 13th, 14th, and 15th centuries. This culminated in two forms of government for the states of Italy: the oligarchic republics mentioned previously, and despotic states. Despotic states consist of monarchical and dictatorial governments, which derive power in a similar method to the usual feudal states of Europe. In addition to overarching social and political structure, there was a level of division at the city-wide level. Pressure from both middle-class popolo and independent artisans led to variations of semi-autonomous cities, ruled by popular, oligarchical, and autocratic means. Few of these culminated into actual city-states, but many remained obstacles to national cohesion in times of political, economic, and social strife. These political divisions of Italy led to an ever-shifting web of alliances and conflicts in the region. However, Italian leaders keenly understood the need to not upset the bounds of power or escalate conflict, lest a larger European power pursue claims on their soil. Next time, we will go into the events of the Ambrosian Republic, and finally see the catastrophe of idealism play out.